Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans.
Max Durbus Realtors has been providing commercial and industrial real estate services to its clients for nearly 100 years. Since 1934, Max Durbus has been locally owned and operated throughout the greater New Orleans area, including the North Shore, Hammond, and even the Mississippi Gulf Coast and beyond. We focus on your commercial real estate needs so you don't have to. More information is available at 504-733-4555.
You've heard about rugby, the hard hits, the whole no pads thing, but rugby is more than that. It's this, a whole day, a whole culture.
Well, the fans bring the energy, so we better bring it too.
Set! Every play, every match, for the city we call home.
This is rugby, and we are Nola Gold.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime Sports. Hey, we got a special edition for you. Let's start with the New Orleans Saints real quick. This is the lull before the storm, before the combines begin next week, and then you have obviously the free agency period and the draft. We'll get into that in the next few weeks, but right now we're going to start with college baseball because it all began this weekend, and I got to give credit where credit's due. All 5 local teams won their series. And let's start with the LSU Tigers, who the defending national champions, started number 4 in the country this year. There you go, SEC Co-Player of the Week, Hayden Travinski. He's become a cult hero in Baton Rouge, batted .636. What a great starting weekend for him. LSU, by the way, there's Luke Holman, who might be the staff. The Alabama transfer looked like an ace for sure when he pitched. And there you go, Brady Neal hit a big home run, and he is a catcher that is going to do great things this season. LSU, one game, they won 27 runs they scored and had a record tying 27 hits in that particular game. Let's go to Tulane Green Wave. They started last year on the road. That guy is the conference pitcher of the week. That's right, Chandler Welch. He pitched great in his game. And also the Wave, they won 2 out of 3 against Northwestern. And that guy right there, Connor Rasmussen, hit a grand slam to win the deciding game against Northwestern Wildcats. Congratulations to them. And how about the UNO Privateers? They got their big win. They won 2 out of 3 as well. Georgia State. And they are moving on in Southeastern. Can't leave those guys out. There's Nichols right there. The Nichols Colonels, they won. They swept Sacred Heart, which they should, and they're going to play Tulane tonight, by the way, in New Orleans. And also, how about Southeastern right there? They're back on track. They beat Tarleton State. Moving forward, the New Orleans Pelicans, they are rolling right now. This is the best they've been after the All-Star break in 15 years. They're 11 games over 500, 33-22. They're in the right direction. I'm going to say that. And this team is rolling. Their cohesiveness is there. They play this Thursday against the Rockets. Also, we have a big show today. Again, David Harris, who is the new athletic director for the Tulane Green Wave. He is going to join us. And don't forget about rugby. Nola Gold starts their season in a couple weeks. There's their schedule. We got a logo for you, too. But here we go. They're coming on. Ryan Fitzgerald is going to join us as well. This is going to be a great, fun show. So stay tuned right here on Primetime Sports.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports. Man, I told you last week we were bringing on Tulane's new-ish athletic director, David Harris, and I've been waiting for this one for a minute because he got the job in late November. You know, Troy Dannon, the former AD of Tulane, well, he'd been on the show many times. And before that, even Rick Dixon in my first year was on the show. But this is a new era for Tulane athletics. I mean, they've raised the bar, and now they're continuing to raise the bar. And the ironic thing is, They went to the same school to get David Harrison. They got Troy Dannon from Northern Iowa, who has a great basketball tradition. I don't know enough about their other sports, but I'm going to say this. Troy Dannon is now at Washington. I did many Washington games on the weekends with Tim Brando, and I know that he is rolling there. Well, David Harris about to make his name down in New Orleans, and here he is right now for the first time on Primetime Sports.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, my friend. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And I want to take it back to when you got word that this job was open and how that works, because I think people don't know, and I don't want to know the secret conversations, but how does this work? Does somebody in the middle kind of being hey, this job's open, or how does it work when you first heard about the Tulane gig?
Sure. So what normally happens is that when an AD position comes open, most of the time they will hire an executive search firm, a headhunter,
right,
as most people call it, to run the search for them. And so that entity will then reach out to candidates that they think would be good for the position and see if they're interested, see if they can get them to apply. And then if you apply, you go through the process of interviewing. They kind of facilitate the interview, but they are involved in the process. They get you connected with the university. The interview happens, and then the university makes the decision. So in the case with Tulane, when I heard that Troy was leaving to go to Washington, they hadn't announced yet that they would be working with the search firm or even what search firm that would be. And so the search firm that had helped place me at Northern Iowa, Collegiate Sports Associates, and Todd Turner, I have a good relationship with him, so I just reached out on a whim to say, Tulane job is open, and so if you happen to get that search, I want you to know up front, I'm interested in the job. So I didn't want to take a chance that maybe they wouldn't think to contact me about the position. I wanted it to be known that I was interested in the position. So if it just so happened that he got the job, or that he got the search, that I would have an opportunity to be involved in the process. And just so happened that he ended up getting the search. And so maybe 3 weeks or so after I sent that text, I got a text back from his son, who was running the search, to say, hey, heard you're interested in the Tulane position, and so let's have a conversation about it.
Wow, that's how it began. I love hearing that, because I mean, I think people are a little bit in mystery about how it all works. This is coincidental for a couple reasons. I mentioned the Troy Dannon thing coming from Northern Iowa, but you are a Louisiana native.
I am.
So you're coming home, not to Baton Rouge, but 70 miles down the river to New Orleans, so that's got to be special to you.
It really is, and in many ways, New Orleans is home for my family, because both of my parents were born and raised here, and they were married here, and then my two older sisters were born here in the city, and then they moved to Baton Rouge.
Then you are a New Orleanian. That's right.
They moved to Baton Rouge, and then I was born in Baton Rouge, and my younger brother was born there. So we spent a lot of time in New Orleans because my mom's side of the family was still based here, and so growing up, we would come down to the city a lot for holidays and for Mardi Gras and for different events throughout the year, and so. So you have the picture at Mardi Gras. That was the first time for all the Mardi Gras parades that I've had a chance to go to. Ferret was the first time I had a chance to be in a parade.
I wanted to mention that, and I pulled these yesterday because I was thinking, okay, you and Coach Summerall, who was your first hire, right? I mean, you had to do it right away,
right?
Which is interesting. There's Coach Summerall there. Y'all rode in a Mardi Gras parade. I mean, it's Ferret, and then Ferret, I think. It's celebrating. I know it's been around forever. When I was a kid, Ferret was one of the main parades during the middle of the week. I think it's a weekend thing now. But the fact is that's pretty cool. I mean, you're on a float, you ride. Tell me about that experience.
It was a great experience. As I said, I hadn't had a chance to do it before, and so been on the outside wanting people to throw stuff to me before, but to be in the float and have everybody yelling at you and want you to throw them different things. Had an absolute fantastic time. It was a bucket list thing for me to do when I came here, and I got a chance to do it right away. So just a great experience going up and down the streets and having a chance to meet and engage with people and spend that time with Coach Summerall. So we just had a blast.
You know, I looked at those and I was like, what a perfect way to kind of start off here. I mean, you started officially January 3rd. And we mentioned, I think your press conference might have been late November. Is that right?
I think it was the 27th.
Right. And then you have the news that Willie Fritz, your head coach, is going to Houston, and that's in the Big 12. So there's people that say anything about him going to Houston. It's like, hey, everybody is trying to move up in the world, right? And that's now a Big 12 team, and Houston's a fresh market. But now you're here, and your first deal is like, I got to hire a football coach, and we all know there's many ways that people, there you are at the press conference, that people get judged, and one of them is the coaches they hire, right? Whether it's fair or not. And this had to be something that's had been big in your mind, right? You've hired coaches before, but what came down to this decision?
So going into the search, there were several things that were important for me. We were looking for a head coach, someone who was either a sitting Division I head coach or had that head coaching experience. That was a big deal. You also were looking for someone that had had success, had come in and shown that they could build a program and go out and have success on a significant level.
Check.
Yep. So
big time.
that was big for us. We felt like having someone that either had a connection to Tulane or New Orleans was going to be important, because we felt like just a unique situation, great city, but at the same time, if you had the experience of being here before, that was just going to give you an advantage and a leg up to understanding the city and understanding the culture. Also looking for someone that had connections to the South, and obviously John had played football at Kentucky and had spent time at a number of schools within the area, so that was also a check for us. And then, of course, when you have a chance to sit down with someone, what impression do they make? What vision are they casting? What are they talking about doing? What's their interest level? What's the passion? And so as you go through that list and you start looking, okay, head coach, successful program, had been at Tulane, had spent significant time in the South, and then you have a chance to talk with them. And I've told people, we start the interview off, we're planning to spend about an hour and a half talking with him. Yeah. And we end up spending about 2.5 hours talking with him. Just the conversation is going well. And from the very beginning, he had me hooked with his passion, with his ideas, with his experience, just the way that he presented himself. And so very early on in the interview, I'm sitting there thinking, this guy is real deal and really feels strongly about his candidacy. And so he was at the top of our list for a reason going into the process. He was, there was a reason that we wanted to sit down and have the conversation and do the interview, and he did not disappoint. And so it was great to have a chance to be able to bring him in, and we know he's going to do great things for us.
I love him. He came on right after he got the job, and I was very honored that he came. I mean, I loved meeting him, and his energy and passion remind me of my next guest, the NOLA Gold general manager, Ryan Fitzgerald. They both have that just inside of them. I can't describe it. But from your criteria, I don't know if there's another single coach candidate out there that could have been this job, because he was at Tulane. People might not know if you didn't see that show he was on back in 2010 to 12 or around that era, I believe, with Curtis Johnson, right? And all the other things, was there another guy that even fit any of all the criteria? We had other people that were at Tulane as well, and head coach job? That fit pieces of the criteria. Maybe that's the best way to put it. But there's a reason that he was at the top of the list. If you really look at the criteria, I don't know that there's anyone who fit it the way that he did for us. Yeah, and his passion is contagious. And I know, listen, I know there's a lot of factors that when you get prospects to come to your school, the success they've had previously under Willie, I think certainly played a part. On a national scale, that Cotton Bowl was a big deal. And then they came back and were in the championship game again. So it wasn't a one-year fluke type thing. And I think that's big. But when you pull a 5-star guy like Ty Thompson to be your quarterback from Oregon, anybody that follows recruiting knows all about this cat. He was a big-time recruit. Oregon doesn't take any chumps, right? And so I remember him talking, like Malachi Nelson was another one we were discussing, because Malachi ended up at Boise State, but he was the number one, what you call, athlete quarterback, and he went to USC, and I produce games on the weekend, so I've done a lot of USC games lately, and I was like, you have a chance at Malachi Nelson? And he goes, I got a couple others in the hopper we're looking at. I'm like, and then the next few days it's Ty Thompson. I mean, that's huge. I mean, this is where Tulane is, and I think the people here should be spoiled by this, because this doesn't come around much. And we want people to understand that that's the quality of student athlete and the quality of play that we hope we can expect to have happen on a regular basis as we go forward, bringing in Coach Summerall. Make no mistake, the thought and hope and expectation is that we continue to elevate the program, and you continue to do that by bringing in great coaches and by bringing in great student athletes. And so Coach Summerall has certainly started off in doing that. But for those who are here within the city and who follow Tulane, or those who are not following at this point,
We want them to understand the quality of ball that's being played right here in the city, that they can see Division I football and Division I athletics across the board when they come on our campus and they support our teams because our coaches are committed to winning. They're committed to having success. They're committed to bringing in student athletes who are going to do a great job in the classroom, a great job in the community, but also a great job in the various fields of competition. And that's what we want. We have championship level expectations based on what's happened previously and what we're trying to build toward as we're going forward. So we need to have the right people as a part of that process. But a big piece of that is the support that we get from our fans, from our donors, from our supporters. We want and need more of that in the stands, financially, with season tickets, all the traditional ways, with support for NIL, kind of a new way to go about doing that. All of those things are important for us to sustain and build on the level of play that we want to have at Tulane University.
I told Coach Summerall after 5 minutes discussing with him, I said, now it took only 5 minutes saying, I know why they hired you. I'm looking at you the same way. I'm like, it took 5 minutes max, and I know why they hired you. You're the perfect guy for this position, that's for sure. And you mentioned the quality of player. I don't want to stop at Ty Thompson because you got Mario Washington from USC. 5-star. Now, you also got a receiver from Alabama, 5-star. You're getting all these 4-stars, too. Listen, we all know the star system is just that. It doesn't mean anything, but it means you're recruiting against the best programs in America. I mean, you're taking a guy from Alabama and Oregon. That's got to be an eye-opener for people. And it's not just that sport, but I got to say this. You know, when you look at what you do as a whole, and I said this off camera with you, I want to bring it up. Everybody thinks football, basketball. I mean, that's the two revenue sports, right? Mostly, particularly football for most schools. Baseball is really big in the South and the Southeastern Conference, but baseball is big at Tulane, always has been. I was a bad boy back in the late 70s. But the fact is that you have 17 sports. And I don't think, I've started to, thanks to your SID, media relations guy, Jason Courier, he's been bringing me guys. And I'm now immersed in the other sports. I went to the Tulane LSU up in Baton Rouge tennis match. We had, the head coach, Mark Boris on. We've also had Adrian Myers, the track coach, and Lisa Stockton, the women's basketball coach. So there's so many great sports. And the sailing team's national champions. I mean, there's a lot of things going out there that people don't even realize. And I know Tulane tennis, for example, I'm looking at that right there. They don't even have a facility, but now y'all are working on building them something. That's huge. I went to LSU's thing, and I'm like, I was blown away. When I was at LSU, they had these decent courts, but now it's beautiful, indoor, outdoor. And just use them as an example as one of the things you're doing for the other sports that we don't always hear about all the time.
And that was an attractive thing for me. As I mentioned, I said I was interested in the Tulane position from the very beginning. So many of the sports that you're talking about, sailing wins a national championship, and women's cross country is winning the conference championship, and what happens with women's golf and them having a chance of winning the championship, and the men's basketball team winning 20 games, the women's basketball team going to the WNIT, the baseball team winning the conference tournament, all of that in addition to what happened with football. So when you're in the athletics director position, you're looking for success across the board. You're not looking for a place where, hey, there's one sport that does well and has a lot of success, and then the rest are don't have the opportunity to have that same type of success. You want success across the board, and Tulane has shown in the recent past that's what they've been doing. And so we want to build on that because all of our student athletes are important. All of our sports programs are important. We want to give them all an opportunity to be able to have success and to win championships. And so we want support behind all of them. And so for our fans out there and those who support the Green Wave, they have an opportunity to support a number of different programs. So maybe your thing is sailing, maybe it's football, maybe it's golf, maybe it's tennis, maybe it's a number of those things. All of that is fine. Get behind our student athletes, get behind our programs.
They deserve it.
They deserve it,
they
absolutely.
Really do.
They work hard, they have great success, and they represent our community so well.
And these events are fun. I mean, I have to say, I hadn't been to a college tennis match since college. I mean, I lived near the tennis facility, so I played a little bit, so I went. And I was like, this is fun. Your team gets into it, man. I mean, they're passionate. And they got guys from around the world, guys that are Americans, obviously, as well. But it's just fun to watch. Hey, On another note, Terrence Jones has been a friend of this show. Now, have you gotten to know him yet? Because
I have not.
I heard he had a stroke, and I just want to throw that out there because we love Terrence. And please get well, man. I mean, one of the great Tulane quarterbacks in history from the 80s, and he's on this helmet right here very prominently, by the way. He knows how to do it. Do it big and do it early up top. No, but Terrence, get well. Also, and moving forward, I want to get to know you a little better. Sure. I said you were from Baton Rouge. You went to U High. They call it University Lab, I guess. Yep. But then you went on to Ole Miss. So you got some Southeastern Conference roots. You played football up there, defensive tackle from 89 to
93.
93.
Yep.
I was about to say 89 to 2003. You must have got a lot of degrees.
That'd be a long
You got a lot of degrees. But to 93. So, yeah, and then you went to places that I'm very familiar with, Wisconsin being one of them. I was an agent for 10 years, and I recruited a lot of players. I love Madison, first of all. But
great place.
I want you to kind of give us your kind of chronology and what you've done since you grew up in Baton Rouge, and you have New Orleans roots as well.
Yeah, so grew up in Baton Rouge, as you mentioned, went to University High, left there, went to school at Ole Miss, had a great experience there, got my undergraduate and graduate degree there. It's also where I started working in athletics. I started in 1998, starting in the academic support and student services areas. I took that route because I was really fascinated by the opportunity to be able to help student athletes, but not being a coach. My dad was a coach, high school football and track coach, and I really admired what he did, but I wanted to have my own path, and I wasn't thinking about doing coaching, but I wanted to do something within athletics. And so
Deuce McAllister was there then, right?
Yes, yep. And so
Saints legend.
Yeah, and so I went through the administrative route, and so someone came and approached me. His name is David Wells. He was a senior associate AD for academics and compliance, and he approached me one day and said, hey, there's a job open in our academic services office, and I'd be interested in having you apply for it. I think you would do a good job. And so I took him up on that and applied for the position, and I did that from 1998 to 2002. And then I got a call about Wisconsin having an opening, and I'd never been to Wisconsin before, and hadn't really thought that my journey was going to take me outside of the South at that point.
Sure.
But it was a great opportunity, and I loved being in Madison.
What years?
Great city. So that would have been 2002 to 2006.
Okay, I did a lot of recruiting in 4, 5, and 6. I was up there a lot.
So I was very fortunate. It was good timing. So Barry Alvarez is head coach when I get there, but maybe 2 years in, he becomes the AD and the head coach at the same time. He has that dual role. And he liked me and thought I was doing a good job, so he promoted me to senior staff at Wisconsin. And I was working directly for his deputy. So he had a deputy named Jamie Pollard.
Okay.
So Jamie was there as the CFO. When they gave Coach Alvarez a dual role, he said, well, I need somebody who can run the athletics department while I'm still coaching. So he elevated Jamie to the deputy role. I came on the senior staff, and so I was working with Jamie and Coach Alvarez very closely during that time period. So then Jamie gets the opportunity to leave and go be an athletics director at Iowa State.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And so then he hires me to go with him to Iowa State, to Ames.
Been there many times.
This would have been
in
2006. And he expands out my responsibilities and gets me into overseeing sports in a number of different areas. And then I ended up spending about 10 years there, so 2006 to 2016. And then the Northern Iowa job came open.
Some of the nicest people in the world are in Iowa, by the way.
Absolutely.
I mean,
great
the nicest in the world. I mean,
great experience
Wisconsin
in
people
Iowa.
are like New Orleans people. They like to party and they love you to enjoy their state.
Yes.
Iowa people, done a lot of Iowa games and a lot of Iowa State games. There you are in Northern Iowa.
Yep.
Those people are so nice, and I love going to both those places. We do a lot of games with Fox. Okay.
Yep, so I was at Iowa State for that 10-year time period, then got the opportunity to go to Northern Iowa in 2016. And I was there until the Tulane position came open here in 2023.
Yeah, so that's right, because that's when Dannon got here, 2016, right?
Right.
I think he took
Yeah,
it.
I think he may have started
December
maybe the end of 15.
Yeah, because this show started
Yep.
January of 2016. He was he was probably on the 5th or 6th show. We were trying to get through the legends like the Ricky Jacksons and McAllisters and Archie Mannings. All right, let's look at some local stuff. So that's a blueprint for you, though. I mean, it's like the guys that Tulane has had so many guys that are playing professionally right now. Tyjae Spears being the latest guy who might even be starting for the Titans next year. So, but it's also the same in the coaching. Obviously, they and also now in the athletic director. So this is a great stop now for people. And I don't know if this is a permanent stop for you. Nobody wants to say anything like that. But my point is like Tulane's become a place that people want to come.
Yeah, and for me, it was obviously a destination. If you're gonna, contact an executive search firm and say I'm interested in that position, then to me, I think it's an indication that this is a destination, and for a number of reasons, all the reasons that we've talked about, but also because of the family connections for me.
Right.
My family and I had been looking for an opportunity to get back south, so I ended up being in the Midwest, I guess, from 2002 to 2023, 24, so
wow.
21, 22 years.
That is a long time.
And my wife grew up in Mississippi and grew up in Natchez, and so we had been looking for an opportunity.
Natchez?
She's from Natchez.
Oh, I got family from there. Okay.
So we've been looking for an opportunity to come back south, but it had to be the right opportunity. And there are others that had come up before then that we had decided not to pursue, but this one felt like the right one for us. And so for us, this is absolutely a destination, great school, great athletics program, having family here and having a commitment to continuing to build. Because it's one thing that you've had success and we've done great things over the past few years, but are we ready to make the investment to continue that success? And based on what I've heard going through the interview process and talking with people, we are absolutely one to sustain and build on the success that's been had. And so those things together made this really a no-brainer for us.
Well, congrats. I mean, Natchez, I believe, is closer to New Orleans than it is even to Ole Miss. Did you meet her in college or
I did.
post-college?
We met at Ole Miss, right.
When you were both students?
Yes, we both graduated from there, and so we weren't students at the same time.
Sure,
she's younger than me.
Right.
But we met at Ole Miss.
You worked at Ole Miss for a while, right.
Yep, and I ended up being at Ole Miss for 13 years total from 1989 to 2002. And ironically enough, her older sister was living in Baton Rouge with her family. And so she spent a lot of time in Baton Rouge growing up, really not realizing that it wasn't too far away from where I grew up. So where her sister lived and where I grew up were not that far away from each other. And so we didn't know each other at the time, but we both have connections to the Baton Rouge area.
Well, let's give her a shout out. What's her name?
So her name is Felicia. She goes by Fifi. That's her nickname.
Okay. Well, welcome to New Orleans.
Yes, and so she and my son are back in Iowa now. He's going to finish out the school year.
Okay.
So they haven't moved down yet. So I'm here by myself until probably June or July when he finishes school and he finishes the baseball season. And then my daughter is a senior at Iowa State.
Oh, good.
So she's going to finish in May, and then she's looking to take a year off to work, and then looking to go to grad school. So I'm expecting that all three of them will probably move down here this summer.
That'll be fun.
And then it'll just be great to have the family back together. So right now, we're in transition mode. We're trying to get the house sold back in Iowa. We're looking for a place here, looking for a school for my son. So lots of things going on in addition to everything that I have going on at work. Okay,
so you've been in a lot of great places, right? I've been to Ames and Madison many times, and Northern Iowa. I just remember some great basketball tradition. They went to the Sweet 16 at that time. I think that was on Troy's day. But what are not necessarily when you were an athletic director, but you were in sports at Ole Miss. I mentioned Wisconsin, Iowa State, Northern Iowa. What are some sporting moments that you remember the most from your teams that when you were there?
Great question. So,
were you there when Eli Manning was at Ole Miss?
I was there for his first couple of years. I left in 2002, and he graduated in 04.
Yeah,
so I left when he was a sophomore.
Right.
So just thinking back to
Wisconsin,
time at Ole Miss.
I had Brian Butch and Devin Harris. I mean, their basketball teams were
basketball
dynamite.
Was really good. Football was good, but basketball was
I was at the game they beat Ohio State. Ohio State had won 26 in a row.
Yep,
that was a crazy atmosphere.
I was at that game as well, night game, and had a great experience there. I think about also at Wisconsin during that time period. Winning the national championship in hockey. That was a memory.
Very big.
Iowa State, just lots of memories that occur over 10 years. I think about beating Oklahoma State on a Friday night in Jack Trice Stadium when they were number 2 in the country.
Jack Trice, man.
That was significant. I think about the basketball success that they had when Fred Hoiberg was hired.
The mayor.
And going to the NCAA tournament and the way that he really invigorated that program. Northern Iowa, I think about when I started in 2016, they went to the NCAA tournament, beat Texas in the NCAA tournament in the first round. Also think about a young man named Drew Foster, who won a national championship in the sport of wrestling.
Okay.
That was significant.
Wrestling's huge in Iowa, I know that.
Big in Iowa. Going back to Ole Miss, it may sound strange, but one of the things I think about was I was there when Tommy Tuberville was the head football coach. He left to go to Auburn.
Yeah, I know the story well.
And then we go to Auburn to play the very next year at Auburn, and we beat Auburn at Auburn. And so it's strange the things that stick out. I can remember cheering so hard at that game. It's the only game that I ever went to that after the game I felt like I played.
Right.
When I hadn't played.
Yeah, right.
Just emotionally so into the game.
Right.
I remember that game sticks out in my head as well. But lots of great
Tubbs
memories
in
a lot of different places.
Okay, let me say a quick Tubbs story because I know we're going to wrap up soon. But Tubbs, you were around him, right? He's gregarious, fun. And I remember I was doing the emceeing for the Atlanta Touchdown Club, so we get all the great coaches. And he came in and he found out I was smelling shoe. We just hired Saban, right? And he was like, he's like, you know, I could have had that job, right? And then, you know, he talks so fast, like, guys, yeah, they offered me something. And I said, if you make it $2 million, I'm leaving. Because I said, I've already left the school in the SEC to go to Auburn. I can't. This was a year after he was at Auburn. Right? He says, if I left again, they'd shoot me. And I said, but if you give me $2 million, I can handle the bullet. I said, tough. And now $2 million is entry level money for a coach.
Definitely.
As you know.
No.
So, hey, Tulane is a place for many great graduates have come from. It's not a 4-year scholarship, it's a 40-year scholarship.
That's right.
That is the selling point that I've learned. I'm giving you one of their graduates from the 60s is a man named Al Andrews, near and dear to my heart. He started this company, Task, and you know, since your first visit here, you're going to get 2.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
2 of them, you got the classic Navy and the gun medal. And we're just going to go ahead and give you 2 gifts. Mr. John's Steakhouse, Desi Vega, right there on St. Charles in the Garden District. I know a lot of your coaches like to go there.
I love a great steak.
And
so thank you so much.
You go once, you'll be back. You know, we love Crescent City Steakhouse as well. Different atmospheres in those places they sponsor as well. But here you go. And this is right down the street from you. Now, if you don't know where this is, you know where Maple Street is now, right?
Yes.
Maple's 2 blocks off of St. Charles at Broadway. This is between Broadway and St. Charles. No, Broadway and Carrollton. Parallel to St. Charles, by the Starbucks, if you haven't.
Got it.
So check those places out.
Thank you
David,
so much. I appreciate it.
Welcome to the Crescent City. I know
Thank you for having me.
Your roots are here. And
absolutely, and happy to be back here. Happy to be home.
Yeah, look forward to get to know you more, bud.
You as well. Thank you so much.
That is David Harris. Get out there and support the Green Wave. Like I tell you to support all the teams, the schools, the pro teams, college teams, high school teams. But get out there and support the Wave. They're doing great things out there. The basketball team has a few games left in the season. We know baseball is just getting ramped up. And they won their opening series. Congrats to Jay Ullman and his group. But yeah, get out there and support your local sports. Hey, coming up next is we're going from college to professional. It's Major League Rugby. That season starts on March 2nd, and we have their general manager, Ryan Fitzgerald. He's been on this show many times in the past. Remember, he was here as a Senior Bowl scout, talking about the guys from LSU and Tulane and other places that were going to be great in the NFL. And then he got this job 7 years ago, but Ryan is going to join us to talk about the upcoming season, the new coach, and all the great new players and returning players from the Gold. Next on Primetime Sports.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At the Mid-City Lanes, the home of rock and roll.
This is New Orleans. You've been to games. You've seen the hard hits, felt the ground shake. You've heard the fans erupt, and you've watched the team answer. You've seen sports in the city, but until you see NOLA Gold, you ain't seen a thing.
Hey, welcome back to Primetime Sports, and what a great time of year it is. I want to thank David Harris once again. What a good job that was. Enjoyed meeting him for the first time. But hey, we're going to another sport. You probably don't know this. Well, if you do, you know all about New Orleans sports, but there's more than 2 major league teams in this town, professional. There's, of course, the New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, but there's a third team that's been here for 7 years. That's the NOLA Gold. We're not talking minor leagues. We're talking major leagues. These are the best in the country, and they bring in some of the best from around the world as well. Former Olympians and World Cup players and people like that. I was around the program for 3 years. The NOLA Gold is moving up and moving great. And the guy that's been here for every step of the way is my next guest. You've seen him before. I had him on back when he was a Senior Bowl scout back in the day. And then he became the general manager 7 years ago. We started having Ryan Fitzgerald, the GM, one of the only guys that's been there since the beginning. Welcome back, man.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Been,
it's exciting. Been great. Yeah, been great. We're right in the thick of things right now in the middle of training camp, and less than 2 weeks away from our season opener on March 2nd.
I like your Marine pen. I know you're a Marine. There's no former Marines. You are a Marine.
Yes.
And I want to just take you back to the beginning of when you took over, because I remember vaguely, say, hey, we're going to be starting this new Major League Rugby team. So I started the TV show already. I'm like, you know what?
Yep.
I like to give all the schools, all the teams, the baby cakes even back then, I like to give them all press in New Orleans in South Louisiana.
Sure.
And so I started to give you all some love, and I just fell in love with it all. I mean, the players were engaging, the guys from around the world and the local. But take me back from the beginning to where it is now, just in a nutshell in your eyes.
Yeah, 2018 is the first year of Major League Rugby in the United States. Obviously, club rugby's been around since 50 years, if not more. But yeah, started at Shaw High School. Only 7 teams in the league. Tim Falcon, our owner, who is obviously a pioneer of the league, called me up and very vague on how the league's going down and everything, but offered me the general manager position. And obviously we're just grassroots and starting up there. You're starting off at Shaw High School and just doing what you got to do. Multiple people wearing multiple hats, and obviously now we come full circle and we're going into year 7. We've been now at the Shrine on Airline at the Gold Mine.
This will be the 5th year there, right?
Heading there now. 2020 was our first year there, so it's exciting. Now up to 12 teams in the league now. So 2 new teams came into the league this year, Miami and Charlotte. So, and they've broken into 2 divisions, 6 in the East, 6 in the West. So Chicago was a new team last year as well. So, it's growing. It's growing around the league, and obviously, like you said earlier, getting multiple players in from around the whole world. The World Cup just ended in 2023, and
that's the biggest difference I've seen. In the beginning, I remember going to 2 games back in 18 as a fan, and I was like, okay, these guys are really good. I'm just used to club rugby. I bartended at Fred's. All the guys from LSU would come in and party. I'm like, I know these guys are athletic, but they like to have a good time.
For sure.
What I was blown away with when I started following rugby closer in 19, 20, 21 is the worldwide athleticism, and it's the 2nd largest sport in the world. A lot of people didn't know that. I certainly didn't. And I was watching matches, the pros from around the world. I'm like, oh my gosh, these guys, if they picked up a football to start their life instead of a rugby ball, they'd be in the NFL. That's
of course.
Athletic. Well, that's what I'm seeing now being brought over. Like more of those guys. I mean, I saw the beginning of it in 19 or so, right? But now, is that one of the biggest differences in your mind?
Yeah, definitely. Every single year the bar is just continuing to raise.
Right.
And as the league is growing, more and more people, you coming over.
One of my favorite pictures here, by the way.
Yeah, Harley Wheeler.
Yeah, right. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm
sorry. Multiple people coming over from across the world. New Zealand and France and Australia, England, South Africa. All players that just get done playing in the World Cup, and obviously the United States is a very intriguing place to come to in the league. And for them to growing up, like you just said, growing up with their whole life, to experience something new, and maybe there's different levels over there in those countries that can go, hey, I get a shot to go to America. So recruiting someone from New Zealand and playing at that high level to come on over to Jefferson Parish, is a tough task at times, especially with times when you're with an agent. There's maybe a language barrier, and to being able to recruit from there and come on over, getting them a visa, it's a process.
Trust me, I saw it. And let me tell you guys, it's nothing short of amazing what this man pulls off. I mean, the conversations he has, and I've talked to some of the players in the past, and a lot of them are just juiced up by your conversation. Like, I mean, Carl Meyer was telling me, this guy had so much enthusiasm. I said, I got to give this thing a shot. But you hit something that reminded me of some of the Australians I had gotten to be friends with. The old, they're not there anymore, but like Scotty Gale and Con Foley. And I'm like, why would you choose to come to America. First of all, they go, "Oh, we've never been. It's great.
Right.
And then they go, "Well, why New Orleans?" They go, "Drew Brees, mate." I mean, I was like, Drew Brees inadvertently is getting players over there because they like them, and it's just, I think it's a fascination for people around the world. They know they can probably make more money, established countries that play it.
Sure.
But that's got to be one of the things they think about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That rugby's got a lot of people like that as a whole, that culture, that want to travel, want to see the world. Kane Thompson, one of our defensive coach and forwards coach, he's played in every single league, right?
Yeah.
Super Rugby in New Zealand, played in France, played in England, now played in the States. A lot of world travelers just like that. Corey Brown, our new head coach, off to a great start. He's from New Zealand, played Super Rugby level, coached in Japan, just got done coaching he was the attacks coach, which is a football term, an offensive coordinator for Georgia, the country of Georgia, in the World Cup, this past year in November 2020. So they had back-to-back, leading up to the World Cup, had back-to-back wins against 2 Tier 1 teams, which is their first ever time doing that, against Italy and Wales leading up to the World Cup. And it did very well in the World Cup as far as competitive edge, and they just rose in the world rankings. And Corey was a opportunity that came across our desk at the right time.
I wanted to ask you that. How did that come about? Because this is a guy that's obviously established around the world, and I just saw that shot of you in the, I guess it's the gold mine on airline. It's the Shrine on airline for the people
shortly after we signed him, he came over. We flew him over here to come visit.
And when was that? That was in the fall?
Yeah, that was in November. It was
November,
right around Thanksgiving time. Then he went home for Christmas for the holidays with the fam, and then came back just after Christmas for.
So tell me that process. How did you convince him to come?
Yeah, just same I guess kind of approach as you did with players. Actually, Kane Thompson knew of him as well back from New Zealand. Didn't work together, but Corey's resume was on the rise very well, and he was a coach on the rise that was coming. Like I said, every single level, he just kept on getting higher, and kind of just swooped in at the right time. Right as the World Cup was coming to an end and is coming off a contract with Georgia, made a pretty enthusiastic pitch to him, and told him of our opportunity that we have here, and showed him obviously the place, and then flew him over and got it done.
So Tim Falcon's the owner, and he's a great man. And I'm gonna say this: how do you go talk to Tim about new guys like that?
Yeah, well,
or coaches in particular.
Myself and Kane, we kind of approached it. Obviously brought Corey's resume, brought what were deficiencies that maybe he could correct, and the things that we wanted to add.
Right.
A little bit more dynamic in the back line, which he is an attacking coach like that, and it just worked out perfectly as far as and Tim is always, God bless with Tim as an owner. You can't ask for a better owner as far as he's not some owners in the world that are always want every single piece of it. Tim, if you
Jerry Jones.
Yeah, you presented to Tim. You presented to Tim with some positive attitude towards it, and you believe in it. I think Tim is a guy that respects that and believes that, trusts the process on that as well. So he's a man that gives you the opportunity. If he's going to hire you and he gives you the opportunity, he believes in you. So he came at it with all the facts towards him and approached it. This is what we could add here. I think Corey's going to be a great piece, and Tim was on board, and so far it's been great.
There's a handful of guys that are still there from when I was around the goal, but 6 seasons at least, and one of them is multiple World Cup player for the United States, Cam Dolan.
Yes.
Obviously, he was an 8. That's a position, and now he's going to lock mostly now. But he's back, and I think this is big, because this is kind of one of the elder statesmen.
Yes.
He was with San Diego for 1 year, I believe, and then he's been with the goal for the last 6. But he's getting married, which is, I think, a shocker for some, but I'm so happy for him because he is a great guy,
awesome.
And she's great too, from what I hear.
Ellen,
tell me what he means. Ellen's her name?
Yes, Ellen.
Yeah, congratulations to them on that. But tell me what he has meant for this program. Being such a large stature, not just physically, but also in American rugby.
Cam's been, just like you said, just a stalwart. He's been a warrior, puts his body on the line. Very, probably in my 24 years of rugby, probably one of the smartest rugby players I've been around as far as tactically, just knowing the game, just cool under pressure. Obviously, he adds with multiple World Cups now, and then obviously well over 60-some caps with the United States. Obviously, the leadership and been in all those big moments.
That's a lot, right?
A ton. And then obviously our young guys that have come up behind him, obviously he's outstanding at passing on that knowledge, and passing on just even little things, feet work on a line out, anything it is. He's very good.
I was watching some video last night. It's the little things he does.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, and then he's got that sharp. He did an around the back pass.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the guy's 6'7" or something,
Yeah,
6'5".
just under
least.
6. He's right at 6'6".
Let's just say he's tall, and I'm just like, that was smooth.
Very athletic, very skillful, and just knows where, body height, leverage, just understands where to be, we're kind of right place, right time. And I think it's one of those things, some of those things that he has actually is kind of unteachable, uncoachable, if you will.
This was one of my favorite times. We did a commercial with him and Cam Jordan, obviously the Pro Bowler for the Saints. And Cam Jordan just did that pro bono. I mean, he came and he wanted to be a part of this. And the two Cams, one's obviously established in his sport, the other in his. So thought that was pretty cool. Let's talk about, before we get to other players, let's talk about what's happening when the season starts and how people can get involved and get tickets and stuff, because this is big. This is the 7th season, and there's a lot of momentum going in. I know you guys want to make your mark. There's 8 teams going to the playoffs now, so kind of describe when the season starts and let us know how, the best way to get tickets.
Well, we're knocking on the door right now. So Saturday, March 2nd at 3 o'clock at the Shrine. We're kicking off. Yeah, we're kicking off against Old Glory, DC, and the following weekend as well against Charlotte on March 9th. So we have back-to-back home games, March 2nd, March 9th, then we'll be on the road for a couple weeks and then a bye week. So get out there early, get out there these next 2 weeks. Obviously, you can follow us at NOLA Gold on our website, nolagoldrugby.com, on our Instagram, Facebook page, all that on there. You can call 504-50-RUGBY for tickets. Very affordable, huge family access, obviously kid-friendly, the whole nine. Bring the kids out even prior to the game. We will have kids the kids can go on the field and play actual rugby with a lot of our with a lot of our players that are not playing that day. Post-match, you can go down. What's a very unique thing is,
that's
Scott,
the best, the
about
best
rugby.
part of it.
One of the best things about rugby is that after the game, both teams go in locker room. There's specific locker room, shower, change, come out. A big tradition is called the social afterwards, which is the two teams break bread together. So they have the home team host a team dinner. Everybody's in their blazer and polo. Have some beers. Do a man of the match, which their captain gets up. Our captain gets up, kind of gives them their best player. Gives a hat, gives an award, and all the fans are right there as well. All the fans are able to sign, get autographs. The kids are able to sign, get jerseys signed, gear signed. It's amazing. So after you fight for 80 minutes,
it's amazing.
They kind of put the swords down, put the fists down, and you break bread and eat together. Rugby's a small community as well. A lot of players know each other. Like Old Glory will have a couple guys on the USA team just like we do. So it's a very good kind of brotherhood.
Well, the camaraderie blows me away. It's not just club rugby. These are professional athletes that are at the top of their game, and they come and they, like you said, they beat the hell out of each other for 80 minutes and they hang. Listen, I've been a long career in sports. I produced the Braves 15 years. They're not hanging out after the game. They don't dislike each other. They're not doing that. And certainly in the NBA, I mean, for 15 years I was Craig Sager's producer. LeBron James is not going to break bread with you after the game.
Right.
He might give you a little autograph.
Yeah, they might work out. Nowadays those guys work out in the off season together or something like that. But in that moment,
it's just phenomenal. So it's one of the great things. The fans can get involved with them. That's awesome. And but hey, speaking of family, and the first thing I thought of was one of your players. I think it's one of the greatest family guys, one of the greatest athletes, JP. We in America say Duplessis, but it's JP Duplessis.
Yes.
And he is a super stud. He was the back of the year when he was with San Diego. Then he came over here. I believe it was 2020, right?
Yeah, 2021 is his first year.
2021 was his first. That's right, 2021.
Yep.
But JP had an article written about him in New Orleans Magazine this month. That's the cover right there.
Yeah.
That might be the website version of it. But JP is a true team leader, and I saw that for that 1 year. And I know that just from my conversations with other people still involved, he is the guy that kind of people rally around, right?
Yeah, unbelievable leader. Probably one of the better, not just rugby players that you'll meet, but just better humans that you meet in your lifetime.
Yes.
Great, beautiful family, 3 kids with his wife, Chloe. Just actually bought a house on the North Shore. Sold his house over in South Africa and bought a house on the North Shore. His kids are going to school there, so he's all in.
Is he in for life like Cole Myers? Cole Myers here.
He's a lifer, still wants to, become USA eligible here in about a year to even try to be on the USA team. So, but yeah, just what he does on a professional level as far as put his body on the line, his workout regimen and everything. He's the first one in, last one out. Just a constant professional all day, innate competitiveness. Just can't break the guy. Unbelievable. As far as rugby athletic abilities wise, unbelievable feat. He's right up there as a 95% percentage on his accuracy on his tackles every single year. He's leading the league, leading the team in tackles. Last year he led the league in over the ball steals. So and through all that, he'll be at every community event, every youth session, church every Sunday. He's probably going to run for mayor someday.
He's the best. Him and Carl together, man. They should be president and vice president. They're from South Africa, so they can't. But it's something. Hey, I'm thinking about some of the guys that have been around for a while. I want to give them some love. There's one of them, Matt Harmon, perfect time out producer. Matt Harmon, Well, I mean, just the best. Matt's obviously a hooker, or no, was he a prop? Prop
Yep.
now, yeah.
He said prop. Yep.
But prop, and those are the big guys that getting those scrums. But Matt's great. Malcolm May. I'm thinking of William Wagenspack. Am I missing any of the guys?
Malcolm May was actually our forward of the year last year.
Forward of the year, right?
William Wagenspack back for going into his 7th year with us, and right down the road from Jesuit. Right. The Jesuit High School, which is awesome. His high school Jesuit is obviously not only 3-time in a row state champion right now, but also they are ranked in the United States as well as far as one of the best high schools as well.
So let's talk about some of the returning guys that you want to mention, and also some of the new guys you expect to make some hay in here.
Yeah, Jordan Jackson Hope is returning as well with Rodney Iona.
He was the MVP, right?
Yep, he is our back of the year / team MVP. Olajuwon Noah is a good one also, coming over on the Samoan national team, going to be our 8-man this year, and lock, a very tough physical player that can also run in the open space.
Olajuwon Noah?
Yeah, OJ Noah.
Where's he from?
He's on the Samoan national team.
Oh, Samoa.
Yep.
Okay, didn't Kane play for Samoa?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Kane played for 3 World Cups for Samoan national team as well with Rodney, our fly half.
Right on.
Joe Nama'u is a new signing this year. He plays back row, number 7. Great over the ball 7. Played in the MPC league in New Zealand this year. Actually led the league in over the ball steals. So
nice.
Very tough. Another constant professional, just like JP, first one and last one. In fact, that picture earlier of JP was interviewing Joe.
Oh, that was him.
Yeah,
okay.
so
I have that pick up. I have that because it has the same title. But
he's only 25 years old, as well. So very, constant professional there. Obviously returning, Pat O'Toole, Harley Wheeler on the wing, along with, Ed Fidow, who's been a massive player for New York.
Ed Fidow. Tell me more about him.
Yeah, Ed Fidow's been, past 2 years leading, right up there in the leading try scorers in the league, pure finisher, also on the Samoan national team with Rodney and with OJ Noah. Ed just got done playing in the World Cup for Samoan national team,
right?
His second one. He's like I said, pure finisher, big boy, big human.
He looks tough.
Yeah, he can run, and I'm excited to see him not wearing the New York jersey anymore.
The Ironworks, that threw me. Isn't Rooney like rugby union New York? Wasn't that like the thing forever for New York?
And they switched to Ironworkers, but New York has since dropped out this year, and that's why there was a dispersal draft of those players that we were able to pick up.
I didn't know. So New York's out.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the reason there? Anything going on?
They just had, I don't know what it was with the ownership and everything.
No, I got you. Hey, the playoffs are different now, and I think this is important because it used to be, I feel like the goal, we're tied for 4th, which has only had 4 playoff teams. In my mind, it feels like 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
But the fact is like, they were the team that was on the wrong side of being tied. Yeah. So now they have a few more teams, and they're putting more teams in the playoffs, which I like. You're going to have each team playing each other at least once, which is important to me, and then you're going to do every other team in their division, they're going to play them twice. So that, and also the playoff format, to me, right there. You got 8 teams, and what does that mean for you?
Well, yeah, just like for years, rugby can be ruthless when it comes to that. There was 12 teams, and they're just taking the final 4. That's the equivalent of, the NFL just going right to the NFC, AFC championship. You could have an 11-win season and not make the playoffs. It's not. The NBA has got like 16 teams or 20 teams that they're playing out of 30. Now having a little bit more here and having some bigger games, I think it also, and that's what fans like. We all like that money time. Down at the end of the season when you get into the playoffs, those are crucial games. A lot more is on the line. Yeah, everything tightens up. You watch playoff hockey, playoff football, playoff basketball, baseball. everything is when it gets down to the more playoff games you can have, bigger games like that, I think the better.
Yeah, in 21, you guys won like 7 of your last 8 on the road or something.
10-win season.
Yeah, I was like, this team needs to be in the playoffs. They're hot. They beat LA. Remember that was the unbeatable team.
LA, the only team that beat
that was them. That was one more fascinating. Hey, by the way, think about the goal that most people have said through the years is the team chemistry, the culture, and that's been one thing. You do things around the community like this. There's JP and some of the other guys.
Moni Tongawiya.
Moni Tongawiya.
Yeah.
I can't let this go without talking about Moni Tongawiya. Okay, I'm glad you shared that, Will. Moni is a guy that I've watched go from being a good player. And I remember you telling me early on, you said this guy, when it all said and done, is going to be one of the best we've ever had.
Yeah.
And he was just a normal player early on, and I've watched him progress into not just a great player, but a great man as well.
Yeah, 2018 he came here. He was actually as a wing center, very quiet. Now he is 72 times he's been capped with us, which capped means played 72 games with us. He is the USA Eagle now as well, 4 times.
Wow.
And he has been nominated this year, actually, as of last week, as our team captain for the 2024 season. offseason. So, yeah, been here since day one, going into year 7. Very proud of him. In fact, even in 2020, he was doing so well, and right before COVID hit, those first 5 games,
Yes.
he was doing so well that I actually sent his tape to Jeff Ireland at the Saints, who I know Jeff from the time that I was in the NFL, and they were very even curious on, asking some more questions about his outside linebacker ability and everything. Then, and obviously COVID.
He's got his brother here.
Yeah, his younger brother. Yep.
Yeah, that's him right there.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I'm going to say this. Moni could be in the NFL. He could easily be in the NFL.
Yep.
I mean, he's that good. I'm glad we got him in because he's just a guy that I've watched his story grow, and it's been amazing. Yeah. And I've watched your story grow, man. And you're almost 40. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
You've done a lot for that age.
Yeah.
You're a great football player, obviously turned into a great rugby player. You worked with the Senior Bowl. That's how I got to know you. You were giving me. I was looking at some of the guys. It's funny because you used to come on the show back in the early days, and some of the guys you said, hey, these are guys to look out for. And some of them panned out, some of them did. But it's interesting because you probably don't even remember some of them.
Sure. Well, I remember one that came on for sure, and I remember talking about one of my favorites was Kevin Byard coming out of Tennessee State.
Right.
He's still in the league.
Still in the league.
Yeah, Pro Bowler. He got his money well over 100-some million.
You did mention him.
Yeah, that was good.
Well, come on out and support the goal here. We give gifts, as you know.
Yep.
We're going to give you Shays de la Shays. We got a couple there for you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
And I know you love Task.
Yes, big Task fan. Partners with them.
Tulane graduate. We had David Harris on earlier. Al was one of my favorite guys in the world. He passed away, unfortunately, last summer. But his son Ty's been running the show. And here's Task, man. I remember the day you were getting XXLs. Now it's just XL, right? You got the gunmetal collar.
Something like that.
It's the softest. Oh, same here, dude. Same here. I was XXL. I'm finally back down to XL. One day I hope to be back to large. We'll see. But Ryan, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the goal. Van Gallinghouse is the new CEO. And I know he's going to do tremendous things for you guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's been going hard at it since he's been at it, So he's a
marketing genius, by the way.
Burning the midnight oil with myself.
He's a marketing genius, and you're a general manager genius. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Hey, the Gold, it starts on March the 2nd, Saturday at 3 p.m. in the Gold Mine on Airline, the former Shrine on Airline, right by the Saints facility. You know where it is. Get down there and support the Gold all season. Support your Tulane Green Wave. Hey, we had David on, and we talked all about all the programs. It's not just football, baseball, basketball. There's 17 of them, and support all of them as well. UNO, LSU, Pelican Saints. Let's get out there and support our sports and get out there. Hey, next week we're going to have Tulane superstar, first 5-star they've ever had, ever in their entire program history. That's Ty Thompson. He's coming from Oregon, and that was made available when Dylan Gabriel switched from Oklahoma to Oregon. Ty didn't want to sit. He's coming down to Tulane, and I cannot wait to see him play, and I can't wait to meet him next week. So stay tuned for that. We're going to have a big March schedule, so we'll see you then right here on Primetime Sports. Primetime Sports with Scott Alexander is brought to you by the 3900 block of magazine, including Sotra, fine decorative items for the home, including wonderful bedding and stock sheeting. Also Elysian, designs from the country of Turkey, clothing, shoes, and other fabulous personal accessories. And Julian Mack Fine Art, with some of the finest pieces from around the country.